Welcome back to another episode of the Girls on the Move podcast. Sorry for all that technical issues. We had many more issues before this that should not get resolved. But as you can see, we're back with Sid and Taylor. And I guess for those of you who are new, my name's Kay, but that's all you gotta really know. Um, we're gonna skip the weekly segments today because since we have a time limit on Zoom, and we'll kind of just chit chat here and there. Taylor has a funny story she needs to share though. And then today's topic, I guess we'll do housekeeping first. Taylor, do you want to drop your what's it called? Instagram?
Sure.
Okay.
It's underscore TAYY 11 __.
Perfect. Sydney?
Nope.
Okay.
It never does, so it's okay.
No, I just have to ask though, because then it seems rude that I'm assuming you don't
Yes,
want to. I don't
sure.
want people to think I'm a bitch.
What?
Um, okay, so my Instagram and TikTok are k.and.fitness. Snapchat is KAYC-FTNS. We have a girls lifting group in there. I will only add you back if you're a girl. I say this every time. But if you want to join that group, go add me on Snap and message that you came from the podcast and that you want to be in the group. And we'll throw you in there. If you have Sid and Taylor on Snap already and you are hearing this and want to be joined into the group, message one of them, they'll throw you in there. And then we have a Facebook group called Girls Lifting Plates. Just a fun little community in there. We post events every once in a while. And for all like the local girlies. So go join that. I think me and Kat are I'm the admin and she can let you in too. I don't know what it's called. Um, but one of us will let you in fairly quickly, probably. But yeah, that's all I really have, I guess. So today's topic well, first of all, Taylor,
Should
take it
cover you.
away. We gotta hear this. Gotta hear it from the source.
Okay, so yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause it's Monday. Yeah. So yesterday, my family and I, like some of my aunts, my cousins, we went tubing, or not tubing, floating on the Wisconsin River. And it was like a good little day. Everything was going great. Everybody was having fun. I was on my tube living the life. And then for some reason I got out of my tube. And when I got out of my tube, I proceeded to unhook my phone so I had it like in this waterproof like bag and it had a lanyard thing attached to it, so I had it like tied on to the tube. And when I got out, I untied it for some reason, and I said, "Okay, I'm gonna go take a picture." I think I sent like streaks on Snapchat. Then I swam it back to my aunt, and I was like, "Hey, here's my phone." Like, okay, cool. And my other aunt was trying to get back onto the tubes, but we were in like a really like rapidy, like the water was going real fast, like area. And I grabbed the like rope that was connecting all of our tubes like in a circle to try to like stop them a little bit so that she could get back onto her tube. And well, when that happened, then it was kind of just like a domino effect of the rope that was like the other side of the rope, like clotheslined my other aunt. And then she proceeded to tumble into the water with her phone and my phone, but my phone wasn't on her neck like her phone was. So then she was in the water. I was like getting like tangled in the like seven tubes that we had and was like about to fall down into the rocks. And yeah, then my phone was in the water. So now my phone is at the bottom of the Wisconsin River somewhere.
Really? got me with all of that is that I'm gonna read our text messages. We have a group chat, and
So
I get a
good.
text. I was I was dead. That was the funniest thing that ever happened. Um, she texts at 10:15. We're going on like a 5 hour float down the Wisconsin River today. I'm very excited. At 4:58. Guys, my phone is now at the bottom of the Wisconsin River. And I texted her back. I was like, "How are you texting?" She goes, "My watch, LOL."
No, the best part of we were like, "How are you texting?" And all of a sudden, just watch. Nothing
Yeah,
else,
watch. It
just
was just
watch.
watch.
Yes. It was either I could like type with the little letters or I had
Or
to like
just
talk
draw it.
into
Oh,
it.
Didn't
So
you
it was
write?
I don't know. I don't know if I have that set up, but it was
on my
just the
very,
easiest
very
thing was
old
just
Apple Watch,
watch.
you had to
Right.
type, like, yeah, right, draw the
Yeah,
That's what
no,
letter.
I do on this
I
one. I
don't think
write.
this one does
Well, this
that.
is the one, but
How?
good times.
It's freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I
I
have a
thought that was
loaner
really
phone.
funny. What?
Mm.
I have a loaner phone.
Oh, really? You didn't, like, your phone plan didn't? What, it doesn't cover dropping your phone in the Wisconsin
No,
River?
like yes, it does, but the phone that I have, they didn't have in stock, so they have to ship it from another store.
Oh,
I won't get it until like Friday, so they gave me a loaner phone to use for the rest of the week.
that's
I'm gonna go
actually
down that
really
river and
funny,
find Taylor's old phone and keep it.
Well,
honestly. A
hey, I
trophy.
told Sydney this earlier, but my dad texts me and he goes, I looked on Find My iPhone and it says Taylor's phone's in the middle of the river, so I called it and a fish picked up.
He's got jokes.
It's just, yeah, dad jokes.
I was like, everybody thought that was really funny except for me, Dad.
Except for me.
So
Man,
it's fine.
that sucks. If we
Well,
were
no,
doing
it's
segments, that
fun
would
though.
probably be your low and my high.
Yeah. The
I
text that
have
just said watch was my high.
Yeah, that
Are
was
you
freaking
such a great
hilarious.
my
watch?
butt. That
I'm
hurts.
so sorry for your phone and the loss of it, but that really made my day,
Yeah.
quite honestly. Yeah.
I'm not
Um,
into entertainment.
I s so do we have 50 minutes?
I
We
think we have
must.
We have
40 minutes is what mine says.
Oh, well, yeah,
39,
I mean, but like 50 total.
I
I
guess.
guess so.
But maybe it's just the 40 minutes to record.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Okay. So our topic of the day, we're gonna be talking about creatine. Um, Mostly like the supplements as opposed to your body's natural source of creatine. Um, so I guess whoever wants to
Want just like
start,
a basic
how do we
introduction of
want to
it?
start?
Or
What?
we just talk about it. Like
Yeah,
the basic overall like creatine or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, Kay, what
I,
is creatine? Or Sydney, what is creatine?
Creatine, wait, I need to actually look up the actual definition of it because I define it through my not as sciencey words. Okay. Creatine is a compound that comes from three amino acids. This is from Google. And it's found in your muscles and and your brain. So your body has it, and it's very important for you. And you can get it through food, but as we'll talk about, obviously, like creatine supplementation, and it's very popular, so a lot of people know about it. You can add into it as a supplement, minus just getting it from your diet. But your body naturally has creatine, and we'll like go more on this later. But you can add to that creatine, like those levels. You can increase those levels versus like, and Taylor probably knows a lot more about this, but say you're taking like vitamin C out the wazoo, you're probably just gonna naturally get rid of vitamin C because your body already like has the level of vitamin C it wants, blah blah blah. Versus creatine, there's like, I mean, if you take 20 grams a day, you're probably gonna be really sick and get rid of it. But like your body wants to add levels of creatine, like pretty much everybody. Like nobody's ever at like that full capacity of what your body can actually like use of creatine. You want me to keep going? Because I could go for a little bit, but I don't want to.
I was gonna say too, I know a lot of people when they start taking creatine, they load, which is pretty much you take, is it 10 or 20 grams, like 4 times a day?
It's 10. I have it. Let me look. I wrote it down, or I have it in
And I
my phone.
goes, I loaded one time,
For
like my
3 months,
first time taking creatine. What?
it's 20 grams per day split into 4 doses for 5 to 7 days.
Oh, okay.
That
Yeah,
sounds
so I loaded my first time taking creatine and I did not like it at all. So at like I took creatine twice because I kind of fell off, but the second time around I didn't do it. But can you explain like what the benefit of loading may be as opposed to just starting at a normal dosage per se?
yeah, 1 second. Need the charger. Okay. So, like you said, like she's done loading before, she hasn't done loading before, but it's not necessary. Some people think that if you're loading, you'll get to that higher because if you say start taking the 5 grams a day, that's just your like maintenance dosing. People think that like say you're like half the bottle of creatine in your body, and you do 5 grams a day, it will slowly start going up to like a fuller bottle. Versus if you load, it fills up faster. So instead of like your body recovering quicker, like over 3 weeks, it could do it over a week and a half, whatever it is. These are not exact dates at all. But so that's why some people like loading because they think that their body will recover quicker, which I think is like a possible reason because obviously people
Yeah.
don't load for no reason and it's documented. I'm trying to think of where my source.
It
I
basically
don't
loading
know.
saturates your muscles. Okay.
Okay.
So it saturates them. It helps a lot with like your ATP regeneration.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna see the benefits of your ATP getting regenerated more quickly, and your improved performance will or can be seen sooner. Like you'll experience it sooner with loading because you're just saturating all of your muscle with that creatine.
So if you took the route of not loading, you will get to those same results. It will just be a slower process.
Yeah, in theory.
And
Yeah.
can you also explain your ATP and such?
Let me get to that. Okay. So, I kind of have stuff about the mechanisms of like action of kind of how creatine works. So,
Mm-hmm.
your ATP is adenosine triphosphate, and it's your primary energy carrier in your cells. Okay. So, like when you hear people talk about like energy, the majority of the time, like scientifically, they would be referring to ATP.
Okay.
So during exercises that are high intensity, your ATP is going to be used up really rapidly, and your body needs to regenerate it quickly to keep performing at that high level. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what ATP is. You then have something called your creatine phosphate system. So your creatine phosphate, which also can be known as phosphocreatine,
Mm-hmm.
it's stored in your muscles and it can donate a phosphate group to ADP. So you have ATP, which is triphosphate, and then you have ADP, which is diphosphate. So tri means three, di means two. So
That one.
that creatine phosphate can donate a phosphate group to ADP, that will then regenerate it into an ATP molecule.
Okay.
So you have ADP can change into ATP. Okay.
Okay.
And that process that happens, it's facilitated by an enzyme that you have that's called creatine kinase. Okay. So that's just a lot of really scientific things.
Big words,
Okay.
big words.
um,
You're losing me a little bit.
so that system in general is going to provide your body with a rapid supply of ATP. So again, ATP is your energy carrying system. Okay.
Mhm.
So it'll provide your body with a rapid supply of ATP for short bursts of high intensity activities. So things like sprinting and weightlifting, where your
Mhm.
demand for ATP is going to exceed the rate that can be like naturally produced by your aerobic metabolism.
Yeah, so we'll talk about people who do the best with this are people who are doing like short repeated sprints. So like
Yeah,
just any like soccer player will take it. Basketball's a really good one. I'm trying to think of other really good sports that are probably good. Obviously,
probably
any
football,
weightlifter,
hockey.
yeah, any weightlifter will obviously like
Yeah.
good, but you always
Yep.
want to take anything under like aerobic. I mean, it's not going to hurt you by any means, but it's not going to improve you. Like your 30-minute run is not going to get faster through creatine, but it's your like 600-meter sprints. I was talking to Kay about this earlier. Like if you are doing creatine, you do 600-meter sprints. Think this is a very number that I will never get in a 100-meter sprint. But instead of 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 11 seconds, 11, 12 seconds, it'll be 10, 10, 10, 10 and a half, 10 and a half, 11 is like basically what creatine is doing to help your muscles. You're getting better recovery and better power out of every sprint. So it equalizes it out. So you're not like having needing more recovery and producing less power on the repeated exercises, you're able to do it more. So like you're able to repeat a like 135 bench multiple
Yep.
times and have that more improved recovery between those instead of needing longer recovery to repeat it or not being able to repeat it as many times.
So the supplement itself isn't gonna make your muscles bigger.
Yeah,
It's gonna increase your ability to perform, which will then in turn
bigger.
increase your progress if you're trying to like gain muscle mass.
So like
So,
scientifically, the like supplementing with creatine. So we
yeah.
talked about how you have that creatine phosphate system. Okay. So by supplementing with creatine, you are going to increase the stores of that system in your muscle. So your phosphocreatine in your muscles by anywhere from 20 to 40%.
Okay. Which is
And
huge.
yeah, with that increase, so you have those higher phosphocreatine stores,
Hmm.
then your muscles can regenerate that ATP more quickly during those activities. And then it also delays like the onset of your fatigue and it allows for you to do longer and more intense workout sessions because you have those higher stores in your muscles.
Which is why your muscles get bigger because you can do
Yep.
more and
Yeah.
do
Hmm.
less damage to your muscle. Damage in like the harmful sense, not in the sense that
Yeah.
makes them bigger.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
But yeah, creatine, again, like we talked about, like it's very good for any athlete who, because most, pretty much every athlete should probably be in the weight room. Or if you're just a like weightlifter who enjoys it or enjoys working out in that kind of sense, like creatine is very good for you. And there's
Hmm.
very little contraindications for taking creatine. Like it's not going to harm you if you are, not working out, not doing lifting every day. You're not doing sprints every day. Like that doesn't mean you shouldn't take creatine.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, um, and correct me if I'm wrong, the way I was explained to take creatine is like as if I were taking a birth control. Like,
Hmm.
every day, even on your rest days. Just the consistency is the key with it. And I heard somewhere too, I was listening to the Mind Pump podcast with like Sal Stefano and those guys. They were saying also the time of day can play a part in the results it can produce. Is that accurate, would you say? Because
Yeah,
I've
so
heard
when
this
I
differently.
was researching on it, um, obviously, so like when you're taking it, so when we talk about dosing, so people will take it in ranges of like 4 to 12 weeks. So like usually
Mhm.
people say don't take it more than 12 weeks, like take a break if you want.
Oh,
I mean, I don't think it will harm you, but most of the research just limits to 4 to 12 weeks, which might just be the limit of how long you can obviously run research projects. But it's obviously like all of it said is it can be done pre or post exercise during the day, whenever you want. But some studies do suggest that doing it post exercise might have a greater effect on your body composition. But that's not like a hard and fast, like continually
yeah.
proven the research or continually suggested through the research. It's just like what we have right now says that post exercise may be helpful. But
Okay.
because dosing is so important on taking it regularly, like every day, I think
Yeah.
most of it is just take it when you can, like so you can keep it regular versus like, focusing on doing it after you exercise. Because on the days you don't exercise, your rest days, you might forget to take it, right? So then,
Yeah.
not that it sets you back really bad if you miss a day, but just to stay consistent, if you're like, oh, I take it every morning, great. Like you don't
Hmm.
have to take it
And
if you work out at
yeah.
5 p.m. You don't have to take it at 6. Like you can take it in the morning.
And that's what I typically do is I take it with breakfast because that's when, like before work is when our routine is
Set.
pretty like,
Yeah.
we wake up, make breakfast, feed the dog, have our creatine with orange juice, you know, very
I think it
specific.
also it has to do with like your body and how it makes you feel too. Like
Yeah.
if you feel like absolute shit when you take creatine in the morning, then don't take
Hmm.
it in the morning.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like,
He does not do well with
yeah.
creatine in the morning. He gets like
Who?
feels weird with it. Yeah. Jimmy
Jimmy?
feels weird with it like in the mornings. So
Interesting.
and he's on his way to work. So it's like, oh, maybe you take it like later in the day when you're already home and like
Does
actually
it
and technically that
does
would
it like
for him.
kind of are you supposed to eat with it or like when you're taking the supplement, like are you supposed to be eating what
um
before or after you take it? Like is there that kind
I
of
don't think there is
guideline?
specific things on what I've researched. I have seen things that like adding it with like when you're consuming carbohydrates might help increase your ability to store creatine.
Okay.
Um, so your carbohydrates, obviously your basics like bread, anything that you would think. So like have a piece of toast with it, have like cereal with it, have
Mhm.
Taylor list some more carbs for me.
Rice.
Rice, yeah. So if you're like, oh, like, I
Mhm.
mean, and you can get carbs in so many more things because obviously
Yeah.
there's complex carbs that goes on. But like, so that might increase the effectiveness of it. That also can go into like
Mhm.
when you're burning through energy, obviously you have your fats, you have your carbs. Um, and maybe just going in because I think I talked about this last time we were on, like the first time we were both all three of us on, like you burn through fats first and you burn through like fats and a little bit of carbs and then fats and carbs
Mhm.
equally and then a little bit of fats, mostly carbs, and then you're just burning carbs. So that might go into the effectiveness of like, okay, we've increased our carb, like what our body is consuming of carbs today, and we're adding the creatine onto it. Like I think some people go into that kind of theory, but
Hmm.
I don't think there's as many, which like Taylor can attest to this. Like research is very like takes a long time to come out there. So we're seeing creatine become more popular. Obviously, it's been around for a long time. I mean, I've done research back like articles in 99. I obviously usually avoid those because I like the more current ones, but
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, current can literally mean the last 10 to 20 years. So,
right.
like, now that it's getting popular, there probably will be a lot more research coming out over like it with diets because it will take many years for, research to get
Hmm.
approved, run, actually like written about. So, and obviously people can research into it more. That's just what I've researched, which is the probably a lot shallower than what people can do.
So, like,
Yeah.
I found a study from the Journal of Applied Physiology, kind of about like just how like creatine works like into your body and that kind of stuff. And it did say that if you consume it with carbs, like Sid said, that it can actually help to increase your insulin levels in your body. And because the carbs are in your body, the insulin levels are increasing. And when your insulin levels increase, that then helps facilitate the transport of creatine into your muscle cells, which then ups the intake of it. So it basically was saying that like the creatine uptake went up when you ate carbs with it
Got it.
compared
Okay.
to taking it alone. But then also, if you eat something with it, that food can help to dilute the creatine that's in your stomach. So, like, if you eat it with it, it's diluted in your stomach. And if you do have any kind of like bad reactions, like bad gastrointestinal like issues with it, like cramps or nausea or diarrhea, it can help
Hmm.
take that away because you
Got it.
have food that's in your stomach.
Yeah. I know when typically take like my other supplements like my probiotic, which you recommended to me actually, or like I used to do a multivitamin, which I should probably get back on, but I would get really nauseous in the morning if I would take those without any food. Um and I used to actually like I used to work at 6 a.m. I'd go and like throw up in the bathroom a few times and I was so curious why and then because I never used to eat breakfast. Um but then I started eating breakfast with all of it to see if that helped and it was instantaneous. I was like, oh, your stomach was just upset because there's nothing to hold it in.
Mm.
But do you want to talk about like kind of general population like how it could be a benefit to like everyone, regardless of whether you're an athlete, you're lifting, you're involved in physical activities or not.
Yeah. Okay.
So, some of my research when I was looking, obviously, I tend to lean more towards the athlete side because of what I do for work. But there is more and more coming out about creatine, like being positive for like aging population, so geriatric
Hmm.
population, because of what it can also do for like bone health for those individuals. And I
Yeah.
know, and cognitive health as well, which
Yes.
I think Kate, you know a lot, and obviously Taylor would be
Hmm.
on that. But for like bone health wise, it can increase obviously your muscles and bones are very connected. Strong bones, strong muscles usually is how we always say. But you are increasing like obviously your like being able to increase your activity helps your muscles grow and will help your bones strengthen because let me read the exact thing so I don't get it wrong. I have so many pages open here or so many things open. Okay. So, one study, it was in 2019, and they did creatine supplementation in aging adults in addition to resistance exercise, which for aging adults is a lot different than the resistance exercise
Yeah.
that you would probably typically see. So that's probably like you're pulling the lightest band possible, just like straight or to the side, or like
Hmm.
standing up, standing down, standing up, sitting down,
Hmm.
standing
More
up.
functional exercises.
Yes. But so when they added creatine supplementation to their like daily activity, they saw the bone mineral content and density will like dramatically increase, obviously following muscle growth as well with these activities because they saw the osteoblast activity was kind of increasing in these individuals. Osteoblasts help build bone cells or bone. They're a bone cell that help build bone. Um,
Yeah.
and when you're an older individual, obviously bone health is extremely important because you think, you fall, you break a hip. So now,
Hmm.
okay, you fall, but now you don't break a hip. You are like, you fall and you might get bruised, but you're obviously in a lot better of a state if you don't break something. So if
Hmm.
that's something that helps older individuals, I mean, that's something that is very important and should be talked about. But Taylor can touch on the cognitive parts as well.
Oh, yeah. Um, I gotta find my thing again. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm
Well,
getting.
and I guess I was listening again on the Mind Pump episode about this. He was even saying he's like a lot of nursing homes and assisted living homes have started administering creatine to their patients because of both the bone density improvement and the cognitive health improvement. So I thought that was interesting that it's like being very recognized
Yeah.
in that population as well.
It's like, yeah, for the cognitive stuff, there's honestly a lot that creatine does. Um, like Sid said, there's a lot of like studies that are just starting to come out now, even though like it's been
In
like
the works for a
in the
while.
world for a while. But there's a couple of studies that talk about memory improvement.
Yeah.
Where it's shown that it can improve short-term memory and your working memory. So,
Hmm.
um, it's like particularly like evident in the tasks that require like quick recall of information. Um, it also says that it can reduce your mental fatigue, which is like your cognitive endurance. So it's been shown to like the cognitive tasks, like mental tasks that are really demanding, are the ones that like cause mental fatigue, the ones that like cause brain fog, those kind of things. And it allows for individuals to maintain their focus and performance for longer periods of time when you're taking it
Hmm.
regularly. There's a study that was in the Journal of Clinical Psychopharmacology, which is a really long word. Um, but it found that by supplementing with creatine, it reduced mental fatigue in participants that were performing prolonged and challenging mathematical tasks. So obviously, there's not a lot of people in the world other than like accountants and that kind of stuff. They're going to be sitting there performing math all day. But
Yeah.
But
it does really help with that. And
Mhm.
also, have you guys ever heard of neuroprotection?
yeah, I think one of my studies talked about that
Yeah.
too.
So, it's a big thing. And so it's basically neuroprotection and cognitive preservation. So, kind of like Sid said, aging populations and individuals with like neurodegenerative diseases and at risk for those diseases. And it can actually help them preserve their cognitive function by taking it consistently. So, like Kay, you said that they've been giving it to like some of the people at nursing homes and that kind of stuff. And some of the studies have just showed that it helps to improve their cognitive performance and just
Yeah.
helps slow down any decline that they're having, if that
Yeah.
makes yeah.
Um, I also saw a study that I forgot which one it was now. This has been I was looking at quite a few. But that shows it can help not take away, but also help, like kind of calm down the symptoms of both anxiety and depression. This is not to say use this as an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety. Stay on your meds if you
Listen
are
to
on
your
them.
doctor.
But it might be worth getting on creatine to help if it kind of mellows out the symptoms a little bit. And I do have to say, like for me, I would say that my anxiety has been a little bit better. It's hard to say I didn't like really take notes to have a baseline from before taking it and after because I wasn't even aware that it it did help with this, but it does make sense since it's so good for your cognitive health. Um, and also just to butt in again, we do have 2 minutes left, so get out your last things while you can.
For supplementing, creatine monohydrate is what you want to add in. Again, we're not doctors, so this is just what
Yeah,
we do, but monohydrate, like that's the form that you
yeah,
want it.
yeah. I was gonna say that too because there's so many different. There's like the 5 point creatine. There's like all these different versions, I guess, but I've always done creatine monohydrate. I've always been told creatine monohydrate is the best. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's not a dehydrant. When I started taking it, the person who was selling it to me was like, you need to drink like double the amount of water you currently do because this is a dehydrant. And I was like, okay,
It looks like she has
is
thought.
that,
I just creatine in water is like a whole thing just in general. Like
yeah.
the whole bloating phase of it. So that's the only thing that was in my head. Like
But
you're gonna automatically bloat when you start taking creatine.
but it's not like a stomach bloat.
No, it's
It's
okay.
it's your
An
muscles absorbing the
yes.
water.
It's an intracellular water bloat.
Yes.
So yes, creatine's gonna
Yeah, like
increase the water content in your cells.
your whole body. Yeah,
Yes.
so that's the other thing too. People are so scared to go on it because they're like, "Oh, I don't want to gain the extra water weight because it's going to make me bloated." It's your muscles
Yeah.
absorbing that water. And it like don't it's
It's
water weight.
not gonna last forever.
Right.
But like, so what
Um,
creatine does is it goes into your cells, okay? It makes those cells more concentrated, and when your cells are more concentrated, water draws to those areas, okay? So it's a process of osmosis, okay?
mhm.
Biology word. But
Okay.
it's gonna go into your cells because that's where it wants to go, because it's more concentrated. So your cells are gonna then load up with water, okay? And you're gonna gain water weight
Yeah,
because it's drawing into those cells. But it's
exactly.
only gonna be there for the first few days or weeks of you using it.
Right. Your
So
body
yeah.
is sponging up the water, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, we should wrap this up. We have 17 seconds. I think we did pretty good
Mine says
though.
I have a minute and
Everybody.
21.
Mine says a minute 17.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's because I got on earlier. But we'll
Maybe.
find it
Fuck.
and okay.
Like
Hi
it
everyone. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next week.
uh creatine.
Bye.